First of all, hello family, how you doing? I like to always say, because once you come into the house, or anyone's house, you should consider yourself friends, if you will. Well, today I've been bestowed a unique honor. This gentleman, of course, I know personally. Me and him got a lot of the same thoughts. If he would share my word, I look at him as a colleague. I've been doing stuff in the community for 14 years. And that's in the area of trying to bring people together to allow people to look at themselves as part of a whole, and that's a community. This man represents this community already, he has. And I know he shares the passion and the vision going forward for all of us. He is definitely a friend of the community. If I was to stand up here and do his repertoire, things that he has done, I would be before you too long. So I'm really not going to do that. His community activism and things that he's done and spoke for himself, from being a small business owner to being a gentleman who's big on Phelps and doing things down there, out in the community. He's always out in the community. How do I know that? Because I'm always running into him, or his wife, or his children. The family is already implanted in the community as a whole, if you will. So without further delay, it's my esteemed honor to bring up before you all a colleague, a friend, and a native son of the city of Youngstown, Ohio, the Mayor-elect, Derrick McDowell.
I just want to thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of Founders Day. I want to say thank you to the widow in the home. You talk about home and considering someone a friend. I consider you now a friend, to be able to meet you and honor you as a forerunner, because I know that who you stand as a widow to, you had the support. So that's no small thing. I bring honor to this club. I'll speak to you a little bit about how I came to join the club. I'll speak to you a little bit about what was impressed upon me to share with you, and then I'll get out of your way. What I want to share with you is that I believe order, and that's what Mr. Staples spoke about. Order is what has saved, and order is what will save this city. Order. And so for me, I'll speak a little bit about order. Now when I walked in, my brother Richard Vincent Hill said, "You brought your book?"
Mine from the car.
I didn't want to be out of order. I had the pleasure of watching Mr. Charlie Staples and Mr. Willard argue over the book. Now, this is club rules. You don't bring your book. Order will save you money, because there's a fine and a fee.
Amen.
But as Mr. Joseph Napier Jr. just shared, thankfully someone got up here and made a motion to suspend the rules, because order was up to cost some of y'all money. I was going to get the pleasure of watching Mr. Staples and Mr. Boyd argue it out. And Mr. Napier Sr. would have just pulled out his $5 and said, "Look, I ain't arguing with none of y'all. They go my money, where do I make my check out?" So Mr. Hill, that's why I brought my book. And you brought your book? Yes. I brought my book. It's only right that I tell you that order has and order will save this city. But I'll begin with telling you a few things before I jump into that. Order will save you money. Order will save you in an argument. I'll point to my beautiful bride and let her know I was out of order. We just had an intense discussion at the table because I was out of order on the event, the attire. My My brother Eric Jones didn't help me out. He said, "You told her about today? Today?" He said, "It was in the calendar. We got a shared calendar, my brother. Don't say it like that. You told your beautiful wife about today. So the order had me in trouble, but it'll save you from an argument. And if you go to this book, you'll find that this club is built on that same order. The order that brought arguments within communities. That is where that parliamentary rule comes into play. Debates and discussions within churches. I would like to believe that those 7 founders were probably deeply rooted in their faith and found themselves in discussions as we planned on how we were going to get ourselves out of the balcony to the ballrooms. There were discussions that had to be had, and there were probably intense discussions, but order had to be brought to those arguments. How do we get ourselves from the balcony to the ballroom? How will we get ourselves access to the north side pool? Like Al Bright. We were out of order as a community, as a country, in the way we were treating human beings. We were out of order. And if we had not had those 7 founders who rooted themselves 105 years ago in order, in service of our community, we would not be where we are today. So order within arguments. You've got to be humble enough to know when you're out of order. And I love my beautiful wife, and I thank her for being here despite my mess up. I'll stand before you as the next mayor of the city of Youngstown and tell you there'll be times where you believe I'm out of order and I need checked. One statement he made to me, he said, "Thank you on social media publicly for allowing me the space to hold you accountable." That brings me to how I came in contact with this club. Mr. Napier Jr. and I have worked together to bring Juneteenth. I was in support of his efforts when I worked with the amphitheater facilities in Ween Park downtown. My job was to engage the community, to bring programming to our people, and he was already at the forefront of Juneteenth, working, sharing, challenging the order of operations for how we celebrate culture in this community. And I happily tried to stand next to him as best as I could and help him bring that. And one of the first encounters in Juneteenth was this club. It had its meeting downtown underneath the bridge. And I got to see for the first time the intellect of our community found in not just the forefathers that we find of this club, but people sitting right here today. They were there in attendance, having these discussions out in the open, and I was intrigued. And so someone pointed to it earlier that I didn't just join the club out of nowhere for some mayoral run. I joined because what I needed was order. I knew that in my conversations and debates and discussions with this community that I can be a very difficult person to deal with. And as your next mayor, I'm going to be sitting in rooms, council meetings, boards, nonprofits, churches, block watches. I'm going to try and bring order. But without order, I'll find myself in arguments that lead to nowhere. That's what 105 years ago saved us from, arguments that had no order, that were leading us to nowhere. And so here's my opportunity to come in and sit with those who have argued and debated and done it in such a way that we can still come back next month. The prestige around this Roberts Club, how we fight matters. How we rebuild our city matters. And if we want to do it out of order, you'll see the dysfunction that will continue. So when I speak about order saving our city, you have already shared that when we talk about honoring the past. Those 7 founders brought us order that bring us to today. You spoke deeply and wonderfully about the past, and now I stand before you speaking about how order will take us into our future.
Amen.
If we don't begin to order, and I'll end here with an ask that's dual-pronged. I'm going to ask that you all help me keep things in order for our city's sake. I'm going to ask that you will keep me accountable to this thing, tightening up and teaching. I'm going to invite you to that same thing, though. Let us use the order of Robert's Club together to tighten up. Because what I need you to do is go teach our community order. If you don't keep me tight, then I tell my wife about today. I can't leave the city with my bride out there looking at me like, how dare you bring me here? No matter how many times you look at her beauty, behind that smile is a samurai sword slicing the neck. But I need you in those block watches because I've been in them.
Yes, sir.
Many of them don't understand order.
No order.
They understand the frustrations of the balcony, and they don't know how to get to the ballroom. I promise you, I was just in one of those block watches a couple of weeks ago. And I joked at the table when I shared with folks, I thanked them for voting for me and giving me their confidence, but I asked this question, I said, how many of you came here just to complain? And you know, folks raised their hand. And I'm like, put your hand down, that was a trick question. Literally. And I said, how many of you came here because you care about the city of Youngstown? And they all raised their hand. But the reason I asked the first question is because I stood in the back of the room and watched for 30 minutes people stand and just scream and shout and tell their issues to people who likely don't understand our city. And I thought to myself, where is the order? And so when I said, if you care about the city, then you'll bring me things in an orderly fashion so that I can take them back to City Hall and work on fixing them. Collective order. We can argue all day long. But if you don't help me tighten up, and if we don't go teach, if we don't take what we're learning, so I'm challenging us as a club. As a member, I don't know if I'm out of order by doing this, but I'm saying that we've got to take what we're learning here, and we've got to take it into those block watches, and we've got to take it into those churches, and we've got to take it into those council meetings and set order so that we can honor our past and forge ahead to a future, because there is dysfunction all around us. There are arguments and debates that are leading nowhere. And we who know best, to whom much is given, we have been given a foundation. We understand order. I'm challenging us to get out and share that. I'm challenging our group and our club to start considering showing up in spaces where there's dysfunction and disorder and saying, we can help you. We can bring order to these block watches, to these neighborhood groups. And that is my challenge. If we, together, will tighten up and go teach, then I promise you, I believe that order not only has, but will continue to save our city. Thank you.